All right, I think we're live here. I'm just going to send out a little tweet, let everyone know what we're doing here. So hopefully we can get some people here. All right, I think we're live here. I'm just going to send out a little tweet, and then we should be good to go. All right, it's sent, so who knows? We'll see if it actually worked or not. But anyway, I just finished Stranger Things 4. I just crushed those last two episodes. I couldn't really wait to see what was going to happen, and I'm going away for the fourth, so I wanted to make sure I could sneak them in before the holidays because I didn't know when I was going to be able to get to them. So I thought it made sense if anyone watched them as fast as I did to kind of get my quick thoughts out and hear what you guys thought and whatnot. If you had any questions about it, or I'm sure I have a couple questions about it too. I jotted down some notes just so I could keep track of it. First thing I wanted to touch on though was before this season came out, like a year or so before it came out, they always were saying that Stranger Things was going to be a 4-season show. They never said it was going to go past that. And sorry, Woods North, there's definitely going to be spoilers in here in a minute. So closer to the fourth one's release date, they announced, oh, actually, this isn't the end of the story. We're going to come back for season 5. And that triggered a huge red flag for me. It just seemed like they were kind of jumping the gun. They knew what they had in front of them. It was making a lot of money at Netflix. So they didn't really want to let it go. So that always worries me. Like, I always think you should tell the original story you want to tell in the duration you want to tell it. Like if you're adding stuff just for the sake of adding stuff, it probably wouldn't play too well with viewers. If they were being smart and critical about it. So I wasn't completely looking forward to the fourth season as much as I was previous years. And even though it's flawed, I probably think at the end of the day that this fourth season is the best season since the first one that they started with. I think I've said this in previous review videos of mine. I think Sadie Sink is a complete star. I've said that I think her, Micah Monroe, and Jenna Ortega are really like ushering in a new generation of Scream Queen for us. And I think that she made an absolute meal out of every scene that she was in this year. I loved everything she did this year. But even though I think it's the best season since the first season, I think that there were still a lot of things that didn't quite work for me. The Russia storyline, I was kind of rolling my eyes or using that time to maybe even check my phone or pause the show when that rolled around. The Winona Ryder and I don't even actually remember his real name, but the Murray Bauman storyline of them trying to find Hopper in Russia and get back in one piece. It didn't really do it for me. I know it was a means to an end just to get to Hopper, and Hopper's obviously a huge fan favorite character. I love Hopper from the previous seasons, so I knew it had to be done to kind of create a believable story to get him back into the mix and get him back with the gang and Hawkins and get them to start figuring this out and saving the planet again, essentially. But that part just really didn't work for me. I was bored by it for the most part. And just right off the bat, I think I understand what they're trying to do, leaving these last two episodes for later, kind of build up the hype. And the first, 7 episodes of this season, I thought really did build up the hype really well. It kind of got back to that 80s vintage nostalgia feel for me more than it did in previous seasons. I loved some of the little minor characters they threw in there, even if they weren't here for very long. A good example of that would probably be the little nerdy kid reporter that tagged along with Nancy that gets killed in the second episode. That really worked for me. I actually wish he stuck around longer. I wish Chrissy stuck around longer. I actually read something that the Duffer Brothers were saying that they filmed that scene with Chrissy and Eddie the Freak in the woods, kind of, becoming friends. And when he was reintroducing himself to her, they filmed that after they had already filmed her death. And I think they said that they were kicking themselves a little bit because they didn't realize they had such good chemistry in that scene. Like, I would have loved to have seen more Chrissy and Eddie, and I actually think that was a better dynamic to explore. There was this guy that was kind of ostracized from the rest of the school. Everyone wasn't really sure what to think about him. They thought he was a little bit of a weirdo. And then Chrissy, who's extremely popular, well liked, has a very popular boyfriend. She was in the in crowd. I thought that was an interesting dynamic to try to explore. That unfortunately was a thread that got cut just too soon. But, I love some of those little minor characters that they gave us towards the beginning. It really helped it move, you know, especially with the Victor Creel stuff. I thought that it was kind of a nice little callback. Like, the Duffer Brothers are clearly massive fans of Nightmare on Elm Street. They basically made their own fake Nightmare on Elm Street movie with this season of Stranger Things. And I thought that worked really well with the 80s aesthetic that we've seen that they do so well. Sean Levy. Sean Levy's a guy that impressed me here too behind the camera. I mean, I like Free Guy that he did with Ryan Reynolds. I wasn't a huge fan of The Adam Project. I think that's a little bit of a hot take. It seemed like people enjoyed The Adam Project for the most part. I thought it was kind of just too much of a rehashing. Reminded me of other movies I liked better that did those nostalgia things better. But Sean Levy, I mean, he directed some of the best episodes of this season, and I really like what he brought to the table. I mean, I'm pretty sure that he directed that fourth episode where Sadie Sink just delivers probably the best moment of the entire season when she's running from Vecna and, gave Kate Bush a whole bushel of new money from popularizing her song all over again. So there's a lot of stuff that I think they did really well in the beginning half of the season. The second half of the season, those last two episodes, there was a couple things that frustrated me. And like I said, going back, even though I still think the fourth season is probably the best one since the first, it still went down a couple pegs for me with these last two episodes. And like I said, I took a couple notes to make sure that I didn't forget anything here. First thing I gotta say is I thought it was underwhelming from a death perspective. I saw a tweet somewhere. It was from an interview with the Duffer Brothers, something verified, or maybe it was Caleb McLaughlin that plays Lucas Sinclair. There was something going around about how this finale would have a massive body count. And don't quote me on this, but I read somewhere that they said, this show was going to kill off like 5 people. In the finale, they were going to kill off 5 people. So I sat there, was kind of on the edge of my seat because it was crunch time, these guys were pissing off Vecna, whether it was in Max's mind, whether it was in Vecna's lair, in the real world with Elle. And I was like, okay, like buckle up, because this is death time here. If it's ever gonna be death time, this is death time. And outside of Eddie the Freak, which obviously I'm very upset about, I really liked Eddie, as you already know from my comments earlier. Other than that, the main jock kid died that was fighting with Lucas. and that was really it. I mean, I know they said, oh, they said the death toll for from the earthquake that happened was like 22. Obviously, I'm not counting that as deaths in this episode. But something I was a little frustrated with is they gave us that cop out with Max's fake death. Sure, we don't know what's going to happen to her. 11 used her powers to at least save her. She's in a coma, but I they kind of copped it out for me. I really like Max. Like I've already mentioned, I think Sadie Sink is, top 3 best actor on the show. And if you're going to have the balls to give me that whole preamble of her floating, the Walkman getting crushed while Lucas is fighting, and, her bones getting snapped, I think that they probably should have gone through with killing her. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It just felt a little cheap for me. Like, if Elle can do that for her, then she can do that for anybody. Like, if Elle's able to do that, there should at least be like a consequence for her or something. It didn't seem to make her any weaker. It didn't seem to, like, nothing happened. We just see Max in a hospital bed a couple days later, and, she's alive. She's not well, but she's alive. And I just think if you're gonna tease me with it, even though I'd hate to see her go, you should just do it. I don't know. Like, I think that cheapens some of the stakes. The stakes aren't as high if I'm sitting there being like, it's not a problem. Elle can just bring anyone who she wants back. So that's something that I found a little bit. And then this one's a little bit of a whatever one. They're probably saving it for a big season 5 moment, but I was a little mad we didn't get some more, Nancy and Steve. Some legitimate Nancy and Steve. They're reconnecting. Steve is super heartfelt about his vision of their future and his hopes and dreams. And I actually thought, because they were really piling it on, I thought, okay, Steve's definitely going to be on his way out here in the end of the episode. But once again, anticlimactic. Nothing really happened there. But I want that Steve and Nancy. I want Steve and Nancy to be a couple for the entirety of season 5. I don't want them still kind of figuring it out. I don't want there to be some, like, they finally kill Vecna at the end of the season and then they give us a whole, I don't know, like a wink or a kiss on the cheek or something like that. And it's funny how they've turned this on me a little bit, because I used to be, Steve was a jerk in the first season. Rightfully so. They made him that way and he grew out of it. But I really wanted Jonathan and Nancy. That was like a big will they, won't they, like, turning point. And that was also kind of similar to the Eddie and Chrissy dynamic, this kind of thought of to be weirdo, somehow finding himself with this popular kind of girl. So yeah, I mean, like, first couple years really wanted Nancy and Jonathan. They've both been through a lot. The connection was there, of course, but now I've completely flipped. I'm sure that they've flipped everyone for the most part, that I just want Steve and Nancy back. So like I said, a little bit of a cop out that I think that they're saving a lot of threads for season 5. Trying to jam pack it, kind of doing that bigger is better mentality that I don't know if it's really gonna play well. Seeing as I thought this was a little anticlimactic, it might come off a little anticlimactic next season if this is kind of how they're trying to play it. And then I don't know. I actually think that they probably should have killed Vecna. I know that they're maybe trying to go for the little overarching villain type of mantra here. We kind of already had that with the Mind Flayer. And then it might have been one too many connections for me with us finding out that Vecna actually created the Mind Flayer. I know that they made connections in the past, and that's not really a big surprise. I actually kind of like it when it's almost treated as like an anthology series with the same characters every time. So it's like kind of like a hybrid anthology series where, every year we get a new villain. I kind of like seeing like new creature designs and progression. And, we got the Demogorgon in the first season. We got the Demagogues in the second season, Demodogs in the second season. We got the Mind Flayer in the third, and now we have Vecna in the fourth. Um, I like that. Like, I don't know if I really want to see that much more Vecna. Um, and I know I'm kind of seeming pretty negative with all this right now. Um, it's just one of those things, where it's like the things that don't work are what's going to first stick out to me than the things that did work. I thought that there was a lot of good performances in the finale. Millie Bobby Brown's always good. Sadie Sink was great. Caleb McLaughlin really impressed me during that sequence where he was in the attic with Sadie Sink. I thought that was the best acting I've ever seen him do. Obviously, loved the performance from Eddie too. They kind of gave it away that he was going to die a little bit with him kind of reiterating like, hey, I'm not a hero. I run away a lot, that kind of stuff. But even though he died, like I was here for it. I wish he stuck around, obviously. There are other characters that I would have minded less, seeing depart. So I wish we kept Eddie around. But if a side character had to go, Eddie went out on top as a hero. It was a nice little end to his story. I might have got a little emotional, a little teary-eyed. There, it was dark in the room. Who was there to tell? But yeah, I mean, I thought there was some really solid performances here. David Harbour getting back into Hawkins and, them kind of letting him do his thing and problem solving back in the prison and fighting the Demogorgon with the sword for some reason. I mean, I understand those were the weapons provided to the prisoners, but it was just kind of hilarious. I don't know. They didn't really make it seem like Maury Bauman ran out of fuel in the flamethrower. I don't know if he just thought kind of Jim needed this, Hopper needed this as like a little ego boost to get himself back on top, get his mojo back. But it really didn't seem like the flamethrower was out. So I don't know why Murray didn't burn that one too. But I mean, obviously it made for like a cool little cinematic sequence. So I'm not knocking that at all. But yeah, I mean, there were some good performances throughout these past couple episodes. Not as good as the performances that were in the first half of the season, but I thought for the most part there were some solid performances sprinkled in there that gave us some good emotional moments. And even though I'm saying some negative stuff, I'm still looking forward to season 5, obviously, and seeing how they all wrap this up and if it's a satisfying conclusion. But there was a couple things that felt cheap to me in those last 2 episodes. Just trying to think back if there was anything else that was kind of bothering me. I think as a whole, the California road trip storyline just played as fine for me. I didn't like it. I didn't dislike it. It was kind of just like a filler. They spent a lot of time on the road that I didn't think that they actually had to be showing. I know the important beats were like them escaping the gunfire and the buyer's house, and then meeting up with Dustin's girlfriend, which I kind of just get a kick out of her. I think she's good in any of the scenes that they decide to put her in. And then mapping the coordinates, finding Elle in the secret bunker, like all of that was important stuff. But I thought that could have been done in much less screen time. So, like I said, I think that part of the storyline was okay at best. Any storyline with Steve and Eddie, I'm game. I thought some of the best scenes came from when, that group goes off the rowboat and goes into the Upside Down for the first time, when Steve gets pulled in, and them kind of just rummaging around and figuring out more stuff about Vecna and what might possibly bring him down. Those mystery aspects I thought were some of the best parts. So I'm trying to think if there's another storyline I'm missing. I touched on, didn't really love the Russia one. That was kind of the dud one for me. I liked Hopper in the prison. I liked the Steve Harrington crew. Anything to do with Max. Those are the high points for me. This volume of episodes. But I just think that there's kind of a tonal shift between that first set that they gave us, the 7 and then those last two. There's a lot, like so much buildup, and it's handled really well. I thought a lot of the episodes felt pretty distinct in that first section, and then there was a little bit of steam lost in the last two episodes. Like the first of the last two episodes, so I guess it's episode 8. I thought, okay, this is a crap ton of buildup, but I understand where they're going with it. If the finale is going to be as like epic as they've been plotting it to be, then I totally understand. But looking back, I mean, hindsight's 2020, obviously, but like looking back on it, the buildup from that previous episode and the buildup from the first section of the 7 episodes, I think was just, there was a little bit wasted there. It didn't live up fully to the potential that this final episode could have been. And, if that's how these episodes go, I know we're only supposed to have one more season after this anyway with the 5th season, but it's almost like I wish it had ended right there. Like, this is the final episode ever of the series. And it technically wouldn't be, because I know that they're talking about doing some spin-offs and whatnot, and spending more time in this universe that they created, which, I don't even know. I might even be more interested in a spin-off than another season, but I'm not sure. I mean, that just might be my recency bias talking a little bit, with being a little let down by this finale of this part 4. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Stranger Things is a massive hit for a reason. It's a good entry foray into horror and thriller and supernatural aspects that maybe some people don't know if that's a genre that they enjoy or not. So it's a good way to find that out. So in that regard, it's always good, and I'll always watch it. There's never going to be a season of Stranger Things or something that's like related to Stranger Things that I won't be checking out. But I just wish that they took it a little bit further in this season, a little bit. Like it is a redundant show. It is kind of, there's a big disaster. We don't know how they're going to get out of it. Elle maybe loses her powers or goes away somewhere for a little bit. And then penultimate episode or final episode of the season, she shows back up to kind of right her wrongs and apologize for being gone and, kick some serious butt if she's able to and has her powers. And that happened again this season. But they always make it entertaining through the ambiance, through the soundtrack, the visuals. The Upside Down is always really fun to look at. It's gross. It's dark. You get the flashes of red lightning. It looks really cool on TV, and I have a massive TV that it looks really good on that, and I love watching it on that. I love watching anything on this big TV when I get the chance. As next best thing to an actual projector theater screen, but it just feels a little redundant at times. But it's one of those things. Like I said, if it's a Stranger Things thing, I'll watch it. Even if it feels a little redundant. Like even though it's a redundant overall plot, they've made it feel distinct from each other by the villains and by the character deaths and, what they're up against and raising the stakes a little bit. So in that regard, like, it's always entertaining. I just don't know, and this might be a controversial opinion, I just don't know if it's at the point of like top tier television for me. It might be close to like top tier if we're talking about like Netflix, like if I'm just talking about Netflix, or if I'm talking about sci-fi, because I think that sci-fi is kind of an untapped genre. It's hard to do. I mean, outside of like The Expanse, I don't know if there's really another like phenomenon TV show in the sci-fi world. Um, but it's entertaining. Like I said, it's always going to be entertaining. Um, anyway, that's probably like the first leg of my rant here. I'm gonna send a little Instagram story here and see if we can't get some more people in here. Maybe talk some questions, theories, predictions for season 5, stuff like that. I don't know if anyone kind of has any idea where they think it might be going. Let's see if we can get some people in here. Do a little story. See if anyone else is a night owl like I am and breezed through those last 2 episodes. Let's see if we can drum it up a little bit here. And Instagram just crashed. So let's see what the story is here. If I can get it working. It's looking like a no, which is classic. I mean, it's almost 2 a.m. Eastern time, and somehow Instagram's just completely crapping the bed right now. I can't imagine that many East Coast people are on, but all right. Let's see. Might actually be good. To go. Nope. All right. Let's see if it might need a little update here. Come on. Let's get it moving. Yeah, it did. Oh god. Performance bugs and fixes Instagram update. So that's probably, fingers crossed, that's what the issue is here. Let's see what's going on. If there's any like interesting Twitter reactions. Let's see. Stranger Things. But yeah, I mean, I was worried. I was taking precautions because I thought it was gonna get spoiled for me. I muted like Stranger Things, #Stranger Things, #Stranger Things 4, and I think Steve Harrington, because I was sure he was gonna die. All on Twitter, like temporarily for like 24 hours, and then I was like, okay, I gotta breeze through these 2 episodes because I'm a little worried. I don't know. I don't quite remember when my 24 hours is gonna end on the the muting of those terms. So had to make sure that I wasn't getting it spoiled, because I mean that's happened before, and that's the absolute worst, dude. So all right, let's see if we can get some more people in here. Little Instagram story. All right. And I'm thinking maybe I look up some season 5 predictions. Let's see if there's any good ones here on Twitter that Stranger Things 5 prediction maybe. Oh, okay. I kind of like this one. Stranger Things season 5 prediction here. Max goes into a weird purgatory place with everyone who died due to the Upside Down in it. They're all sitting around waiting for the end of the world and watching their friends on a supernatural TV. Okay. Eddie's the leader of this ghost fire club with Chrissy as well. Maybe throwing some Beetlejuice vibes for good measure before yeeting Max into her body. Okay, I kind of like that. I don't I don't mind that. That's actually kind of cool. Um, like an out of body experience type of thing because they did allude to that a little bit with how Elle when she was in the hotel when she no, terrible hotel when she was in the hospital room seeing Max alive for the first time when she got back to Hawkins and you know she kind of did that whole black room in her head state thing and she couldn't find Max anywhere, which either is leading us to believe Max's consciousness is somewhere else, like far away, that can't even be found, or Max is never coming out of that coma. But I mean, that prediction is kind of nice. I kind of like that. I mean, it's good if you want to get fan servicey with it, right? If you want an excuse to bring back Eddie and Chrissy and I don't know, even people from past seasons, like I'd love to see, love Bob the Brain. Um, that would be a cool idea. But I mean, that's the question. Do you want to get that fan servicey? Is the book closed on those characters? And like I mentioned earlier in the chat a little bit, the Duffer Brothers said they loved the chemistry between Chrissy and Eddie. They wish that they didn't kill her off so soon, so they could explore that a little bit more. So, like I said, it's a little fan servicey. It's a little bit of like an oopsie way around it. But if they wanted to do something like that, they could do that while kind of still progressing the story a little bit. I mean, I don't think that there's no way Max doesn't come back to her body at some point in the show in season 5. I just don't like, who knows, maybe she finds out some cool stuff or a Vecna weakness while she's in this kind of like coma state. She was saved by 11, so maybe that, 11's powers a little bit, not that she has powers, but like is a little bit in her, so it might have sent her to kind of like that black room place that Elle visits from time to time when she's in her, sensory, I don't even remember, sensory deprived state or like a bathtub. So I don't know. I mean, that would be a cool way to see if they want to get a little fan servicey with it. Um, this is pretty funny. This isn't an actual prediction. This is kind of like what I said happens every season here. Guy said, prediction for Stranger Things season 5. 11 goes off to get stronger for 75% of the season. The rest of the cast is stuck running in circles with various side quests till she gets back. Cue obscure 80s pop banger. The good guys win, but the breakout dies. Give me my money, Netflix. I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, that definitely happens almost every year. Either 11 goes somewhere to get stronger, she disappears to kind of discover her roots, is kidnapped. There's always something that takes her away. Because if she was at full strength the entire show, I mean, there'd be nowhere to go from there. It's if she was at full power all the time, it would kind of be like having a Superman story without kryptonite. I mean, nothing to weaken them. And I mean, where's the fun in that? Obviously. Um, so yeah, I mean, she has to go somewhere to kind of heighten the stakes a little bit, but it is obviously very right in your face redundant every year when they do that. Let's see. All right, this one says Will and Eleven will be the main characters. Time travel, possibly. The history and hierarchy of the Upside Down. Maybe an 11 father reveal. Okay. I mean, I'm down with that. Like, explore something that we haven't explored yet. Might be an interesting dynamic too if he's still alive and there's this interesting dynamic of like Elle visiting her biological father, but already having her, for all intents and purposes, her real father, the person that's raising her at home in Hopper. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic that they could explore. Um, my only prediction of Stranger Things 5 is that they give Will a normal freaking haircut. Okay, it's less of a prediction and more of a hope. I mean, yeah, he's been rocking the bowl cut for, you know, close to a decade now. It's like Joyce only has a bowl and a pair of scissors, doesn't have the money for a real barber, but I mean, she spent all of her money to get Hop out of prison. I guess it makes sense a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he's really got to change up that do. That would be, you know what? That would be a huge difference for me in season 5. You want to change something? You want to prove to me that it's not a retread? Change Will's hair. Like the bowl cut's got to go. It was great. I mean, it's always hilarious, but I just think the bowl cut's got to go. All right, let's see. Anything else here? Okay. This is an interesting one. I mean, it's like kind of obvious, but I like it still. It's got to be like the only way to wrap it up. Um, Elle will take on Vecna again. They'll both die in the process during this epic battle, and the gates to the Upside Down will be closed permanently. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the most likely outcome. I don't see it going really any other way. I'm sure there will be some last scene, kind of cliffhanger, Easter egg at the end to make you think, okay, hold on, maybe the story actually could continue, and they might want to see how far people run with that. I'm praying they do not announce a season 6. Like they already changed the ending once. You got to stick with it. That's a big pet peeve of mine too. Like if you're met with like big success and you see how many people are tuning in, changing the length of the narrative. Like you had an idea at the beginning, let's just stick to it. You had that idea for a reason. You envisioned this whole story and closure and whatnot, that would really do this world you created justice. So in that regard, it better end. It better end in season 5. I'll tell you that. I think maybe one thing they'll do as a final scene, possibly though, is like, we always have these guys going into the Upside Down to fight in the villain's territory. So maybe something happens where Elle and Vecna are in their final showdown. They kill each other, so the kind of portal closes for good. And maybe there's one or two people there from Hawkins that went in there to help Elle with this big fight. And, it's just at the time where they didn't know that this portal was closing and they couldn't get out. So they're stuck in the Upside Down forever. Like, I don't know what's going to happen when Vecna dies. If Vecna is the person that is the maestro behind the entire Upside Down, then I'm not really sure what's going to happen to it when the portal closes. Will the Upside Down just completely disintegrate? I kind of doubt it. I don't know. I just kind of doubt it because then that scene I just described couldn't happen. That means they would effectively just get killed if anyone was in the Upside Down trying to help when the portal got closed by Elle and Vecna being defeated. But who knows? Okay, it is 2 a.m. Eastern time, so I am going to call it a day, most likely, especially since I'm going away and taking a little bit of a road trip in like 6 hours. So I should probably get a little sleep. Thanks for anyone popping in. I've never done a live before. I think that they're fun now after doing one, so I think I should start doing them a little bit more, especially just kind of like off the cuff new releases that I saw, talking about them that day. If anyone also saw them that day, kind of just have a little discussion about it. So yeah, I think going forward, I'll do some more of them. If you pop by, really appreciate it. If you watch this after, also really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you see and you just kind of popped in. And I'll try to do more of these in the future. So I will see you guys at the next video. See you guys.